Hey guys, in this video I'm going to be replacing the stock on my Johnson rifle. You can tell here when I get to the end of it, it starts to kind of look not so good. Looks like there's some toe repair down there. I guess there's some damage to the stock and doesn't look very good. Also the fact that it kind of looks pretty glossy, especially with this LED light. You can tell at the top there, that is an actual military surplus Johnson stock is the way it should look. It has that little cross pin visible on the military stock, and also has a sling swivel, which is absent on the commercial stock that's on the Johnson. So I picked that stock up at Tulsa. I was pretty happy to do it, but it's quite a chore to actually replace the stock on a Johnson rifle. So I want to just document that here, let you guys watch it. So kind of first thing you have to do is you have to take the rifle down. So we're gonna remove the barrel. It's really easy. You just use a cartridge, and you press the little detent there, and kind of made it look harder than it actually is. But you just press it in, and then press the barrel in and pull it out. It's just that easy. The next step is again you use a cartridge. Pretty much everything, all the takedown on the Johnson rifle, just use cartridges. I'm going to just speed it up here just to kind of show you everything. Use the base of the cartridge to pull the pin out. I kind of find it easier just to grab the little pin. To take that off, but that's how you take the bolt out and everything. And you rotate that pin, and once you rotate that and pull out that pin, that's the only pin that holds the actual stock on, so you just slide that right off like that. Fire control group is in there. You have the buffer tube and everything still in the buttstock, so you have to take that off. Take these ugly Phillips head screws off the butt plate. And down there you can see a lot of that damage, just kind of ugly wood in general. Now we're going to unscrew the plug on the bottom of the buffer tube. There, it's very finely threaded. It was a lot of rotations to get that undone. And then once you kind of undo that, kind of the whole thing comes off, and you can kind of see a little bit of the AR-15 lineage there with that. And there's the buffer tube kind of at an upward angle. Now we're just going to take off the fire control group. It's got two screws in the bottom holding it in, and then that one cross pin. That's just for sort of more for recoil, and then that just lifts right out. It kind of reminds me of a G43 receiver a little bit, with those little holes drilled into the side to lighten up the whole fire control group there. But that comes right out. Then last thing is pretty much just that one little screw that holds on the trigger guard. So you can see the buffer tube cross pin on this Milsurp stock, and then on the commercial stock you don't see one, but when you look real close here you can kind of see this little circle where it was sort of, it's in there, but it was just filled so that it's not visible on the commercial stock. So there's no other way of getting the buffer tube out of this commercial stock without, dremeling down and exposing that cross pin so that it can then be punched out. So you pretty much just have to go down, dremel around it, expose the whole thing, while being careful not to go too far. And of course you don't want to dremel the buffer tube. So you have to do this on both sides. There wasn't quite the clear sort of indication of where it was on the left side there. So it's going to look a little bit bigger around than it is on the right side. But it's pretty much just, dremeling it down, cleaning it up so that it's just exposed. I tapped it out off camera, but it was just real easy just to push it out. So you just take it right out. You can see the little indentation. Now this is the PVC pipe is a 1/2-inch CPVC pipe that I got from Home Depot. It is the absolute perfect diameter to use to knock out the buffer tube. It just really couldn't have been a better fit. So you just simply put it down there, you knock it out. Of course you don't want to use anything except like plastic, something soft to knock out the buffer tube. Pushed it out, there it is, pretty rough, kind of all rusty and everything. It's real rough. I mean, it got very, very rusty. So I had to clean this up quite a bit before reinstalling, of course. So there it is, cleaned up. It's pretty simple reinstallation. You just kind of drop it in. Of course, you don't want to, hit it with steel or anything like that. So I'm using this plastic handled screwdriver. It just sort of drops in there, and then you hit that. That way it's just plastic pushing in. And again, I'm using the back end of the PVC pipe there just to push it in, just to fully seat it. Pretty straightforward. Obviously just kind of being gentle with it. I'm not hitting it too hard. I'm just sort of tapping it. It's very hard to do on camera. All of this is very hard to do on camera, but when you have it fully seated, when the end of the buffer tube there reaches the end of the lip inside of the butt plate area, And then you could see that hole there for the cross pin. It's perfectly visible, which means that you can drop that in. So I dropped the cross pin in. I just screwed that side on, and it's all good. The buffer tube is installed, and the cross pin is in to hold it in. Now we're going to put the recoil spring and hold the whole assembly back into the buffer tube here. Just goes in the other way. You have to screw that screw the plug back in here, and you can see just kind of how the recoil spring just operates. That's all good. Next up, we just got to put the trigger guard back on, which is just held in with one little wood screw. And then you put the fire control group back in there, and the fire control group is held on by those two screws. So we're just putting those two back on. And note how the safety there has to be kind of pushed out of the way so that screw can go in. And then we're adding that little cross pin there, which is acts like a recoil lug in with the stock. Because it's fun fact, the top receiver actually gets kind of held into the fire control group, and then the fire control group holds onto the stock. So it's kind of an interesting arrangement with the Johnson. But you can see that new beautiful stock under there in comparison to the old one, and have correct screws now and a correct butt plate for this thing. So I'm pretty happy with this whole setup here. I'm pretty legit with this, and man, that's a moment of been looking forward to for a long time right there, having everything switched over. And of course, mating the guns up, kind of get it off frame there a little bit. Sorry about that. But pushed them together, and then you just push in the little pin here, which holds them together. And reassembling the Johnson here, kind of my least favorite part is putting the charging handle back on. It's kind of my least favorite part. But reassembling the Johnson, just putting the barrel back in, which again, it can be a little bit tricky because it has to be kind of put in at the right sort of place. It won't go if it's too far or too far in or too far out, but you'll kind of feel that sweet spot. You can just sort of check by pushing the barrel in, and it'll kind of move the whole action. And there we go. Whole gun is put back together with a brand new, new old stock, surplus stock for the Johnson. Super happy about the way this turned out. It looks so much better. It's, in my mind, it's a legit Johnson now, where maybe before that commercial stock it wasn't. But thanks so much for watching, guys. I appreciate you guys coming along with the journey, and I'll see you next time.